Hello and welcome to Downunder The Ring podcast. I am your host, the Warship, joined as always by my co-host, Phid McAwesome. This week, yes, we know there's lots to talk about. Just like Cody would say, what do you guys want to talk about? But no, we're not going to talk about that because that is a fire we don't want to touch, and we've learned from Paul Levesque not to speak about it. Phid, how you going?
Oh, mate, I will say this. What a roller coaster of a week to be a wrestling fan. Like, without going into any details, we're not qualified. It's far too big a thing to dive into.
Yeah.
But, mate, being a wrestling fan has been a roller coaster this week. Like, we've had some amazing highs. Like, the start of last week kicked off really well. End of last week ended well. Like, if we're only talking about the Rumble, you're right.
The middle,
But look, this is what I will say before we dive into anything. I think as a wrestling fan, you, our listener, it is a hard week to be a wrestling fan because those people out there that may not be wrestling fans all of a sudden are seeing what we love in the news. And I think the thing here is don't be ashamed of being a wrestling fan. One person's fuckery, assholery. I know we're supposed to be a PG show, but I'm not going to water that down. Does not define all of pro wrestling. There's amazing people in this industry, amazing talent, people behind the scenes, and let's not let that water down our love of this amazing sport.
No, and look, what I want to also say as well is if you are struggling with thoughts about all of this stuff and you're having a hard time with it, we'll leave a link in the description below for somewhere that you can go to, have a bit of a talk about it. Because, yeah, this is widely more than just pro wrestling that we're talking about here. The only note that I want to bring into the whole conversation is a question I posed to you in a conversation the other day is, how do you feel knowing that there are no McMahons left at all in the company working for the company?
It's wild, right? Like, I mean, the closest we have is Trips, and that's only by marriage, right? And like I said, it's the first time we've ever experienced the wrestling industry without a McMahon involved. Like,
Was it Marissa? Is that the other daughter that works like on admin? Is that? Or was that never real? Did I dream
I
that?
don't know. Possibly. But look, hey, we may end up with the grandson at some stage. But yeah, it's wild, right? Like,
Yeah. No, that's Shane's wife. Okay, no, I'm just crazy. Don't worry about me. I'm just nuts. But yeah, it's crazy. Let's leave it at that, though, because if we get bogged down into that. Also, quickly, really quickly, The Rock, it turns out he is the head of the table. It just turns out that it's the board of directors table. So maybe that's what he meant all along. We'll discuss that and more on Down Under the Ring podcast. So, Royal Rumble,
dude. We've been talking about it for weeks, right? Crazy time going into WrestleMania, and this is the first Royal Rumble that could have gone anywhere, right? I mean, we all had our favorites. We all had an idea where the final four was going to be in the men's. Arguably, we all had ideas of where it could have gone in the women's, but I was so hyped for this show. I'm always hyped for the Rumble. Like, in my opinion, a bad Rumble's always still a fun Rumble. Like, I know we do talk about it at times, like, oh, that was one of the worst Royal Rumbles of all time. But if you go back and think about it, it was a fun Rumble still.
It's still the Rumble. It's still the Royal Rumble. It is the number one spot on the calendar for me, typically speaking, every year. WrestleMania is almost off the calendar, right? It's almost a thing in of itself. But the Royal Rumble is, if I'm working a 9 to 5, it's the day that I'm a little bit sick that day, and I want to go home and watch the Rumble.
Every year I've always taken Mondays off. Now that they've shifted the WWE calendar to be Saturdays in the States, it's awesome for us, right?
Yeah.
I think most years we actually get Royal Rumble day off here in Australia.
Yeah, because it usually coincides with Australia Day long weekend, right? So, yeah, typically speaking, we don't really have to do that, which I'm grateful for, obviously. But it is what a wild time. And man, I got to ask the question before we really get into the nitty gritty. Who did it better this year? Was it the men's or was it the women's?
Oh, easily the women's Rumble, dude. It was just right from the bat, like from the jump. It was a great start. and it just consistently, like, the surprises had value to them.
Mhm.
The big spots were awesome. The ending was gripping. There were moments where I was changing my mind, who's actually going to win it, who's not going to win it. And that's a great Rumble, is
Mhm.
when you are sure you know what's going to happen, but it doesn't, you know?
Yep. Yep. Look, we went into, I believe, the men's rumble. We went in there thinking there were 4 people, right? There's like 4 people who are going to be in the final 4, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really it. You know, you got
Mm-hmm.
your Drew McIntyre, you've got your Cody Rhodes, you've got your CM Punk, and that 4th person really interchangeable, really. But you know, you've got your Sami Zayn, you've got any of the SmackDown people. There was a big thought that maybe one of the losers of the SmackDown match would end up being in the main match. You also have the concept of Brock Lesnar, which we won't talk about, but you know, Brock Lesnar was always an option in there as well. And Damian
Yep.
Priest, although I really am glad we didn't get to see that scenario play out, because realistically speaking, it doesn't make sense from a storyline point of view for him to even enter the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we didn't get that. But let's go on to that jump. As you were talking about in the Women's Rumble, from the jump, we got to feel the glow. And it was such a cool thing. So Naomi back in the company. How do you feel
Yep.
about that?
Oh, okay. Firstly, I think she should have come out number 1.
Yes.
Like, as much as I think Natalia is a legend and she will be a first ballot Hall of Famer for her contributions to pro wrestling, she was a little bit of a letdown as the number 1. I think it should have been Naomi. But in saying that, number 1 and number 2 are essentially the same in the Rumble, right? You're starting at the same time.
Can you ever say that the Rumble, that Natalia is a letdown when you get that scrolling slide, the Bret Hart music playing first? There's something nostalgic about that, which still
There
makes
is.
me smile to this day. But yeah, coming in number 2 with Naomi, the shoes come out and people go, oh, we kind of knew it was
Yeah.
happening, but it was like,
Yep.
oh, that's
And
really cool.
I think that was the spot for her, though, right?
Yeah.
Because we kind of knew. So it's like, let's get that surprise out of the way. No one's going to be super shocked. It's more of a celebration. Stoked to see the response she got as well. Like,
Yep.
the welcome back chant. No one had forgotten her. Everyone's stoked to see her home. And she had a moment to have a bit of a cry before she kicked things off. And yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing seeing her back.
And look, what a rumble for her as well. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'll come in and I'll do a little bit. It was there was a little bit of time there where we were like, oh, maybe she might win.
She might go bout a bell.
Yeah, she really might do it.
And there was a few Iron Women in this match too. Like, there's a few that stayed right through.
Yep. Like, that's the thing too. So for me, the difference between the men's rumble and the women's rumble is that the women's rumble was paced correctly from start
Very
to finish.
much so.
Even though, and I love them, but it was a botch fest, right? There was like a lot of questionable stuff happened in the rumble, in the women's rumble this year. But as far as the timing and the pacing of the rumble, the spots that were hit, the surprises that came out, it's right on the money. It's right on the money.
I will say this: I haven't laughed as hard as I did during this rumble, which is awesome. Being able, because part of the rumble is it's an all encompassing entertainment thing, right? It's amazing moments of feats of amazingness sports wise, but there's moments to have a laugh as well. And the laughs in this were genuine for me. I think Chelsea Green was a freaking superstar.
Just getting murdered every few seconds.
Yeah, and she played that role so well. And like, that was one of those botchy moments as well at one stage. But I don't think it took anything away from her as well, because she was still taking knocks. Like, even getting hit by Nia Jax's belly first into your back, whether you're missing the squash spot like it was supposed to be or not, like, she hit the ground like she got knocked out.
Yeah, and look, it was much better than what could have happened, which would have been a repeat of last year. So it was good to see them play with last year a little bit, tease it a little bit, and then just go, actually, let's just murder you for like 10 minutes, which I thought was great. But speaking of murder, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about the TNA Knockout Women's Champion,
Ooh.
Jordynne Grace, entering the Rumble and having, in my estimation, the best showing of anybody that I can think of other than Gunther in recent memory.
100%. So, firstly, every year during Royal Rumble, I block the hashtag, I block the words on Twitter and all that sort of thing, and I stay away from your Fightfuls and YouTube and stuff like that.
I don't want to know who's
because anything that I don't know about 2 days before the Rumble, I don't want to know about.
Yeah, that's it. That's
so
it.
I had no idea that this was about to happen.
Yes, me either.
So I was confused when the siren hit because they're not bringing out Big Papa Pump during
Well, look up.
Big Papa Pump during this.
If you hear me. Maybe he was confused as well as R-Truth.
Like, did they call in the wrong Steiner? And look, and then when she came out, I popped so hard. I was just like, oh my God, that's Jordynne Grace.
There was this rumble, this really confused rumble for a few seconds. But the second the crowd could see Jordynne Grace, it just went poof.
Yeah, and I genuinely thought, this is a cool moment for Jordynne. She gets to come out. She's got her belt. And they actually teased that this was going to happen in the Rumble when Naomi came out. My first inkling that something was up was when she came out and they said, her first time back in however many months, blah, 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 blah. And while she was away, she won the TNA Women's Heavyweight Championship. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yep, you said TNA.
You're acknowledging what happened while she was gone.
Yep.
You don't usually do that. And you mentioned TNA by name.
TNA, the logo of TNA was sitting there like, Royal Rumble, acknowledge me. And they did. Michael Cole did. It was wild. And
exactly. And then, when Jordynne hit the ring, they did the full backstory of Naomi only faced her earlier this week and she won the title off Naomi and blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is unprecedented that they would acknowledge all of this. And this is cool.
They kind of came close with Mickey. They did a little bit of similar stuff with Mickey, but not to the level that they did here. I was convinced, we were talking about it as it was live, I was convinced we'd see Moose in the men's rumble. It got that full on that I was like, I don't think Jordynne Grace is the only TNA person to come out today. Because that's how much they were putting it over.
I was genuinely wondering, are we working up to a TNA invasion? Which, hey, could still happen.
Well, we've seen them on socials. Jordynne has said, hey, if ever you want to come over there, EST, if you ever want to come and fight me for the belt, you're more than welcome.
Exactly. And I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But before we go on
let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Back to Jordynne being in the Rumble. They didn't just book her an amazing spot like I thought she was just going to have a really good little run and be eliminated after a few minutes.
Well, kind of quickly, right?
Yeah. And they looked after her.
19 minutes.
19 minutes, and she got some amazing spots. She was made to look like a powerhouse. Commentary, especially Pat McAfee. Pat was putting her over.
Well, look, talk about utilizing your minutes too, because as far as I remember, it was 19 minutes, didn't eliminate a soul. But I look at the situation and I say, I'm going to remember in 5 years' time, I'm going to remember Jordynne Grace more than any of the eliminations in the match.
100%. 100%. And even some of the debuts that did happen later on in the Rumble, I think I'm going to remember this over that.
Yes, absolutely. This was the single, to me, biggest moment of the Rumble, maybe of the night. It was just such an important thing for women's wrestling in general, for the connection to TNA in general, and kind of just wrestling. Obviously, there is another big one coming in this match, which I think will change the entire landscape of the WWE women's division. But for what we got and for how long it was, but how completely out of left field it was, man, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and look, I think this is the start of something. Trips also used the word partnership as well in the press conference afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe you used the wrong word, but I'm just a typical wrestling fan reading too much into the details. But
let's not talk about religious words this week.
But yeah, it was Amazing. I'm so happy for Jordan, and I hope we get to see a lot more of her. I did wonder if this was teasing for her to eventually get signed by WWE. There
Yeah.
was word out there that she signed a 5-year deal, but I've since read a couple of things that her deal with TNA is up next year.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's going to happen yet. I think down
She
the
looked like
road.
she belonged there, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think down the road we're probably there. If it's a year contract, could win the Rumble next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like good enough too, in my eyes.
100% good enough. Like
You look
I
at the
said,
WWE versions of it, you know what I mean? You got Pitbull, like you've got the EST as well.
Mhm.
Much as I love them both, Jordan does it better. Like Jordan does
Oh,
the whole gimmick better.
like all you have to do is see that pile driver that they set up her and the pit bull doing them at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, the
Hers was
suplex.
cleaner.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't the pole. Yeah,
No,
but
no. They're both like
hers was way cleaner.
the stalling vertical. Like Jordan
Yeah,
had no trouble with that whatsoever. Jordan went first. I noticed because I was
yep.
watching. I'm like, who's going to fall
And
first? But it was
she was just
controlled
sort of holding
the
there,
whole time. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like strong.
Belonged there. That's the takeaway. I think before we continue to gush about Jordan Grace for the next hour, I think that's the takeaway is that Jordan Grace belongs in a WWE ring, belonged in the Rumble, has a bright future the second that Jordan wants to take that future, and Jordan looked like they belong in the match, but also with the people in the match.
Yeah,
Which I think
exactly.
is a big takeaway from that too, because you can have people come through, you can have old people returning, you can have like upcoming people come through. We'll talk about Bron Breakker later, but there's just something about how natural it felt.
Yeah, exactly. And what an awesome bone for WWE to throw TNA at this particular moment in TNA's life where
TNA is about to just fly to the moon.
Exactly. TNA's been, as Impact, has been doing great work for the last couple of years. They're getting a heap of attention because of the rebrand, and this is just going to help them immensely. So
you push
I'm
a
so
launch for a TV network now, like
now,
now, and then you put the EST versus Jordan Grace in the main event of the first night.
Oh, I'd be going and talking to Fox now.
Right now. right now.
Start preparing for January.
Yeah.
And look, we're going to stay here all night. So let's actually get on to that
move on to
moment. That moment that is going to change the women's division.
The biggest moment for the women's division in every single way. The hugest, most critical moment of all women's wrestling.
Number 24?
R-Truth.
R-Truth.
I was so happy because we saw him get the number. We knew where he was coming through. We knew all of that. And then his music hits. And he just comes out in the Women's Rumble.
But didn't him and Valhalla both played their roles so well? Like, she looked confused and what the fuck's going on when she heard Truth's music hit. But then as he ran past her, the confusion on his face.
Yeah. He's like, wait, are you supposed to be out here? Am I supposed to... Wait, is there women in... Wait, these dudes do not look like the same dudes that I usually wrestle. Yeah. What is going on here? Nia Jax, oh no, I'm in the wrong place.
And look, and like we've been talking about recently, for some reason, general managers pop up out of nowhere now.
I have no idea where he spawned from. He just appeared from the darkness.
Right. The whole thing of him arguing with, like, what are
you doing here?
What are you doing in here? And it's like, but is there a woman in that ring?
Why are there... This is the Rumble.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Did you see the short video of the argument that they were having backstage when they went back through Gorilla? Oh, it's brilliant.
Man, he's money. And we'll talk about the money that he is later because the other thing he did, man, it made the whole Rumble almost. So, like, full credit to him. Excellent. But then, obviously, Valhalla, because of the confusion, instantly eliminated. Instantly just... And that's a big thing, too, because Valhalla's pushed as this monster character. And for Valhalla just to go straight away, that's like a really good way to utilize getting rid of one of their monsters without having to do the stupid multi-woman pile-up, throw out the ring garbage.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of people complaining about the way that the production team shot that as well, saying, oh, they missed the thing. I thought it was brilliant. Like, the way they had Adam Pearce and R-Truth on either side, and right in the middle between them, you saw the elimination happen, and then her attempting to go at Truth before the ref stopped it, right?
You know, it reminded me of that meme, that girl, you know, the meme, the girl where she's like, and there's a house fire behind her. Like that's what that reminded me of, the whole thing, because it's like you could see the carnage unfold, and if you were paying attention, which it was filmed in such a way that you had to pay attention to it, you know, it's like, oh, that's happening in the background, and it's R-Truth's fault. So I would expect Viking Raiders something to happen there with R-Truth moving forward as well.
100%, and I'm hoping it's Valhalla. Disappointed. Oh, jumping ahead very quickly because I don't think we will touch on it much. Is I was disappointed that she didn't interrupt the men's rumble too.
Oh, you to get some revenge? Yeah.
I was expecting her to jump the guardrail.
Or even Ivar to do something, you know what I mean?
Oh, I think it would have been better if it was Valhalla herself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm in full agreement with you there. But let's sort of move forward, because obviously we want to give respect to the women's match and the women's wrestling of the match. R-Truth being the big moment can't turn into Santina Morella. We have to move on from there. Let's talk about the next big debut. And that was...
And this is the one that I was hoping for.
Just huge, and the right time, because... It was Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill has been touted as the next big, massive, enormous superstar coming over from AEW. They've made no bones about how massive they want to push her and promote her. And it was this huge, like, build, right? And they were like, the biggest star ever in wrestling is coming, blah, blah, blah. And then they were like, oh, but you're wrestling. And then they racked her off to the PC. And now Jade Cargill looks like $2 million. Like everything that was done excellent, all to the correct timing. Physique absolutely on point. Looked like a superstar. Could easily be in the conversation for versus Rhea Ripley for Mania.
So when Valhalla actually came out, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be the spot for her and Nia.
Yep.
Right. And completely forgetting by the time we'd got to this point in the Rumble that we still hadn't seen Jade yet.
Yep.
And this was brilliant. Jade was, like you said, made to look like $2 million. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And getting her a debut like this, I can't think of another debut for a women's wrestler who has been made to look this strong off the bat. Like, debuting in the WWE, your debut match is the Royal Rumble, and you get made to look like a monster, and you've eliminated the current monster.
Yeah. The only way you could be better is if you won it, and there's no single date on the calendar that you can make as big an impact on the show, unless you just come in and beat up the champion. You know, like, but even then, arguably not as much of an impact, because this is a long-standing impact. You saw that Jade can wrestle. You saw that Jade looks awesome. You saw that Jade's got the crowd interaction. Everything about what Jade's presentation is sensational. It's a big, bright future for so many people right now. Like, so many people. And let's not forget, too, just like the Royal Rumble poster, we've not even talked about the person who won it. Because the person who won it wasn't even on the poster for the event. And that is Bayley. And Bayley went for 63 minutes.
She holds the record now, right?
She holds the record. Over an hour, the longest time Iron Woman in the Royal Rumble that has ever happened. And didn't just do a road dog and hug the bottom rope for the whole time either. Was actively involved in almost every interaction.
Yeah, like she had her girls come out, and I thought that there was going to be some fuckery there from them. And look, they didn't help her. She was helping them more often than not.
Yeah.
But
well, the high five thing was funny though too. Every time she went to high five, ask her. Wait a second, we have to talk about Spider Woman. What the hell is wrong with Kairi Sane? She glitched out of the game. You're playing a Rumble on PlayStation 5 because I don't know how any human being can stick to the wall, a sheer wall like that. Oh my God.
It was amazing.
It was incredible. That's the Kofi Kingston spot.
She full on crucifixed on the inside.
But like, there was nothing to hold on to.
No.
And like, obviously it didn't work, but that I think had to be that way. But That was such a
What a
cool
spot.
moment. What a spot. It was the Kofi spot for this year because Kofi sure as fuck didn't get it. So,
Well, Kofi's missed his last 2 spots, and then they
Yeah.
didn't even try this year.
no, I think they were just like, bro, just go out there, just do your thing and just get eliminated. Like, this
So
year's
look,
not
and
your year.
I think it's cool. Like they should potentially look at having Kyrie do something every year as well.
That was just crazy. That was mind-blowingly good. And look, there were moments in the Rumble. Let me just quickly say, just to not make it sound like, oh, this is the best Rumble ever, like, there were moments in this Rumble where it was poo. Like there was a big middle section there where it was just a dog shit match, and everyone I was speaking to was like, "Oh my god, Women's Rumble!" Like that. That was the thing. But there were so many throughout the show of that match itself. There were so many moments that built past that. It's almost like, if I watch it again, I'll probably still go for a little bit, but I know that great shit is coming just up the road.
Yeah, exactly. And before we jump too far into the Bailey side of things, I love the fact that this entire Rumble, both the men's and the women's, was not watered down by legend spots. They had no need for legends. They've got enough people on the roster now.
I do love spots.
I do love a legend spot when it makes sense. A good return or whatever is cool. But in saying that, I think at the moment, with everything that's going on in the WWE at the moment, both on the shows and outside, this is the time to focus on who you've got signed to the roster.
All right, so while we're on the topic, I'll say, yeah, I agree, but I really would have liked to have seen the Shattered Dreams logo come up on the screen during the Men's Rumble.
Oh, dude, I would have popped for that one. Like, we've been talking about it. We want him back for the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, brother. Hall of Fame. Come and get it on the year that Cody wins the belt.
And that makes so much sense. And look, we may still get it. We may still get it.
I just think that moment of the at that moment, I would have lost my mind.
Especially if they'd managed to do it without it leaking, right?
Yeah. So let's we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Bailey, Iron Woman, Iron Survivor, won the whole thing. Sets up so many implications, so many things for the future. But we also, at number 30, saw the returning Liv Morgan. And there was a moment there in the final 3, which was Jade Cargill, Liv Morgan, and Bailey, where anybody could have won. Absolutely.
And it would have made sense for any of them.
Yeah. And that's what you want from a Rumble. That is what you want. You don't want to feel like Roman wins, lol, Becky wins, lol. You don't want to have those vibes. And to see the interaction between Jade Cargill and Becky Lynch, where Nia Jax was eliminated, and she's like, she got eliminated. Like, that was a really fun thing to see.
That was a cool moment, actually.
But then to see Becky go as well, it was like, okay, good. We're moving in a different direction with this, in the right direction.
Becky was one of the ones who were the possibilities, right?
Becky's got her own road to WrestleMania in my eyes.
Thing is, with Liv returning, right, is we could have had Liv going after EO's title.
Yep.
Because currently we don't have anyone pegged for EO's title.
No, we don't. But do we? Because I think we got Becky. I think this is the straw that breaks camel's back. I think that Becky's going to not choose Rhea Ripley because she's a monster. And I think she's going to say, it's okay. I'll pick you, EO, and then we'll just have a good competitive match. It doesn't matter who wins because it belt's staying home with us. This makes sure that we keep all the gold. And I think EO's just going to go nuts, and Damage Control is going to beat the crust out of her, and that will be the end of Bailey and Damage Control.
And it's pretty predictable.
Yeah, it makes the most sense.
It does also make the most sense as well. And then we get Becky versus Rhea, or
maybe a triple threat. Becky, Nia,
maybe
and Rhea Ripley.
I'm sorry, I don't want Nia in that match.
I know you don't, but they're building her so strong right now. And even though she's Garbaggio, she's probably the best garbage she's ever been.
Oh, 100%. Massively improved. Massively improved.
Look, I don't actually think that she's as terrible as we make the memes of anymore, but I do definitely think that a lot of the botches in the Rumble were because of what she was doing in the Rumble.
Oh, 100%. 100% agreed. But yeah, look, what I will say about Bailey winning, just to wind things up, massively deserved. Bailey is the one person in the Four Horsewomen who has never really had a shot. She's the one person that held things down during the lockdown era,
during the COVID era, like the whole
during
thing.
yeah,
Well, if you think about
and
any time the Four Horsewomen fell apart, it was always Bailey who picked the pieces up.
exactly right. So she is finally getting a chance to shine, and I actually do hope she gets a really good title run.
And I do hope, maybe just for WrestleMania, we see the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men one more time.
Oh, do you want to see them again, do you?
I think that it would bring closure to that part of her life, like, because obviously if she turns face, that was something they loved. I don't want to see her do it every week on Raw, but
I don't want to see Hugger Bailey again.
It's like when Seth came out in the Shield gear that one time against Roman. Just that one nod to the fans to say, "Hey, I'm with you. You're with me. We're doing this together as face Bailey." Yeah, sure. Why not? The biggest one we can find, and then never again. You know what I mean? Like, because I think we're heading towards a massive face turn right now for Bailey.
100% agreed.
Let's move on, because we're going to talk about this women's match forever, and it's already been going. How long have we been going for already? Oh, my God. Roman wins, lol.
Look, I don't have a lot to say about this match. I think, look, there were moments where I thought, no.
You know what I have to say about it is that, what the hell? We finished the first match of the night, and it's the second match of the night. That's what I have to say about it. I was shocked.
Shocked that we get a title match as the second match.
A 4-person undisputed championship as the second match of the night. I was blown away by that.
Oh, I was stunned. Here's what I will say as well, is when that match was just about to start, my wife was like, because this is the one pay-per-view every year that she watches. Mm-hmm. She asked me to make her something for lunch.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, next match is going to be KO and Logan. I don't mind missing the start of that.
Yeah.
And then I heard the package start for Roman and all of that. And I was just like, shit, I'm going to have to cook this lunch so fast. Yeah. I didn't cook it fast. I took my time. I made a really good lunch. By the time I'd finished cooking, Roman had just got to the ring.
Yeah. So 42 minutes after you left, he just got to the ring.
Yeah, it was so long.
It is. Look, okay, so here's what I'll say about it. It was always going to be Roman who won.
Yeah.
Like, there was no way around it. It's probably okay for it to be early in the night. I probably would have suggested opening with it, because my people on the ground at the Rumble said that the second the match ended, the air just got sucked completely out of the building. And the reason why later on there was less reaction is because they had back-to-back things that sucked the air out of the building. So I would have split the disappointment up, personally. I would have either started with Logan and KO, or I would have started with the 4-way.
Yeah, exactly. And look, starting a pay-per-view with a title match is not a bad move, right?
No, because what you're doing, right, effectively with what they did was they're like, "Oi, here's this apple. It's a real nice apple, man. It's like a sour Granny Smith. It's real good. That got that film from all the chemicals on it. That's beautiful. And you take a bite, and it's just black on the inside." Because you have the really nice outside, the outer crust is awesome, and then you get to near the core, and it's just dark. And that's exactly what happened, because we had a really good start to the show, and honestly, a really good end to the show. But those 2 matches in the middle, from every report I have, just sucked the air out of the whole building.
Yeah, and I will say this. Our boy, I think he was made to look really good during this match.
Yeah.
Our boy LA Knight, he was looking awesome. There was a moment there where it looked like, they did the tease that he could win it.
Yeah.
He was never going to, but
no,
it was dope. He got his shit in and looked awesome.
And look, it wasn't just Randy gets his shit in and then Roman wins, which is kind of how they've been pushing it over the last few weeks. So I was really happy to see that. There's really not much to report on this match. Once again, Solo Sikoa came out and was the catalyst to the ending. We're tired of this WWE. Stop doing this, WWE. Stop doing this, WWE. Do something about it tomorrow, WWE. We're tired of it. Get Rikishi. Tell him to get his kids in line, because it's getting really fucking annoying.
we've got one more match
But we're
of
past
the
it.
Bloodline.
We're
But
so
the thing is,
past it.
we literally have one more left, right? They're not coming to
Elimination
Chamber. The next match is going to be WrestleMania, and Bloodline's over after that.
That's what you hope. But he could win. And you
He
know
could
he could
win.
win.
I know.
Especially right now, with everything that's going on in the wrestling world, he could win. And
So moving along.
yes, let's do that.
What do we think of KO versus Prime Energy's Logan Paul?
I didn't hate the finish. Everyone I know hates the finish. They hate a DQ finish on pay-per-view.
It's an interesting dusty finish.
I think it pushes the story along. I don't think this is the end for KO. I think it pushes the story along. I am less confident that we're going to get a singles match between LA Knight and Logan Paul at WrestleMania now. I have a distinct feeling we're going to get some form of six-pack challenge at WrestleMania, and we're going to chuck in all the people who have had shots at it. Like you got Rey Mysterio's, if he's back in time. I'm not sure how his injury is going. You've got your KO, you'll have your LA Knight. I kind of get the feeling we're going to have a whole bunch of people in that match. I do feel like the Intercontinental Championship will be a singles match, but that breaks the card up to have the US Championship match be like a six-person match.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
I didn't have a big problem with this match. It was an okay. Logan's amazing at what he does.
It was sloppy.
KO's amazing at what he does. It was, but in saying that, I think it's also because Logan's learning how to fight a stronger match rather than a showy match.
Yeah.
And that's not in his wheelhouse yet, right?
When he eventually turns face, he'll learn how to sell. And that's the problem right now. The reason why people are down on Logan is because he'll take big moves and he'll get up in like 10 minutes, right? Like 10 seconds, sorry, 10 minutes. I wish. He'll get up in 10 seconds because he's got to get to the next spot. I think KO hit a frog splash and then Logan put his knees up and then was instantly on the top rope. Like got straight up, ran to the top rope, got in to do his thing. So I get it. But as he develops into a face, if he ever does, because he's the most hateable person on the roster, if he ever does, then he'll really, really start to learn that you have to stay down.
Hopefully, with him signing a full-time contract, he's going to get a bit more time to, if not do matches on TV, then at least be there watching matches.
Yeah. And look, I think he'll develop. I don't think they won't use him. I think he'll be used for a long time to come.
Hey, look, before we jump into the men's rumble, we've got some really cool news actually for Down Under the Ring for the podcast. We are working with a pretty big new sponsor. Like, we've had some cool sponsors in the past, but we've got a big one.
A real big one. And it takes me back to watching WWE on the network. It takes me back to watching pay-per-views and ordering them, because one of the things you'd always see in that is you get these ads in between matches and they show a bunch of jerseys flying around and replica belts, and then you get the big old WWEshop.com. And yes, that's right. Down Under the Ring, we're working with WWE Shop. You guys, you buy wrestling merch, right? Right? Surely you buy wrestling merch. If you do, go on. Why not use our code? Why not get on and use our code? Get yourself some quality wrestling merch from the WWE Shop that we're now working with.
Who would have thought that this podcast would get to a point where we've got WWE sponsoring our show? This is awesome. Links are going to be in everything, in bios, descriptions, everything. Click that, buy yourself a new t-shirt, treat yourself, and they're going to support us, and that's awesome.
Get an LA Knight shirt. Go on, do it. Yeah.
No. Fork out and buy one of the $400 wrestling belts.
Look,
the more
I
you
think
spend,
you buy
the
enough of them for all of us. Look over there.
No, but support them, which supports us, and thanks WWEshop.com for coming on board Down Under the Ring. We're stoked to have you as part of the team.
A big thank you to WWEshop.com. Yes, thank you guys, honestly. But yes, all right, so things. Men's Rumble.
Men's Rumble. Where do we start?
Okay, so usually at the beginning. So what did you think about the way they started? I would have really liked to have seen a reversal of roles. I would have liked to have seen Cody Rhodes at number 1 this year, and I would have liked to have seen Gunther at number 30. just to show a complete reversal of everything. Because honestly, that Rumble was full of people almost the entire night. Yeah, could have left it a little bit full and had Gunther come out and run a tear.
100%. And to be honest, I can't. They didn't really have a big clean out moment this year.
No, there was never like a big moment there. There were a couple of big eliminations, but we didn't get Kane coming out and throwing people over the top. You know, we didn't.
I kept on throughout the entire match once that ring started filling up. The amount of times I turned to my wife and I was just like, you watch, Bronson's going to be next.
Yeah.
We've got a full ring. He's going to be out shortly.
Yeah. And look, when Bronson came out as well, like, we didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like, no. I was really expecting someone to take the mantle of Monster this year.
Yeah, look, I liked the start of it myself. I think what you're suggesting would have been awesome. Reversal of roles would have made sense as well. But I liked having both Jimmy and Jay being number 1 and 2. The moment Jay came out, it was awesome. We've got the yeet chant, blah, 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 blah. And then Jimmy's music hits and Jay sold it so well. It was like, the hell are you doing out here?
I was sitting there talking to you. I had a mate over. I was sitting there talking to him. And I'm pretty sure I said to you as well, watch for Jimmy. Like, because I'm like, man, Jay's out first. He's out there to get that day one pop with all of these ones here and all that. I'm like, just you watch. They're going to do it. This is where it starts. We're building to the Usos versus each other at WrestleMania. It started here. We're going to get teasers across the next couple of weeks. And I reckon we're going to get Uso versus Uso. They've been talking about it nonstop.
They've been talking about it for a while, that was the match that they wanted to have eventually. And I'm stoked for them. It's going to be awesome. And we have to get Rikishi back for this, right?
Surely special guest referee, if he can go however long he needs to go standing on his feet. Because he's been backstage a lot recently as well.
Yeah.
There was a couple of videos going around last week about him being at backstage.
Well, look, currently they're the only family in WWE. So
hey, come on now. Didn't you know? Wrestling has more than one. I hate that intro. Look, I love Cody, but I hate that goddamn intro. Oh my God. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Just go straight to that dun, 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 like for me personally.
Yeah. The first half of the match I thought moved super slowly as well. There was
nothing. That's the problem. We got Jordan Grace at number 5, right?
It was something early. It was super early.
We didn't get that. We didn't at all. But there are a few caveats and notes that I will say here. So the first one I spoke to you about, in the first 15 entrants to the Rumble, there were 7 SmackDown stars. So it's about halfway. But from there to the end, I think it's just Ricochet from my memory.
And everyone else was from Raw.
And everyone else was from Raw or NXT.
Or NXT, yeah.
And you wonder why everyone's like, oh, it was the Raw Rumble.
Yeah. But look, at the moment Cody came out, business picked up.
It was 18, wasn't he, I think? 16 or 18.
Yeah, it was one of the midway point. It was midway.
Yeah. So, but that's the problem is that you have 4 guys or 5 guys or 3 guys, 4 guys if you include Priest, who can realistically win the match. You needed to space them out, man, because I didn't give a shit about anybody up until Cody came out. Aside from the Usos doing their thing, I had no faith. You needed an if you smell moment. You needed that moment where people are punching on and all of a sudden you hear the glass shatter. You know what I mean? You needed something like that. You needed that moment where, oh shit, business is about to pick up. Like you needed that and we didn't get it. Oh, sorry. We did get Omos.
Look, Omos needs something to do each year.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, it's the one thing. It's the one thing.
That and the Andre the Battle Royal.
Oh. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about highlights though, because we've done lowlights. Bron Breakker.
Look, another amazing debut. We understand the circumstances and why he was brought up.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, but in saying that, if you're going to have him come in and be given all of Brock's spots, what an amazing opportunity! Like,
even being eliminated by Dominic Mysterio. That being said, originally Brock Lesnar was going to get eliminated by Dominic Mysterio. Let that sit in for just a moment.
It would have been an amazing spot, though.
The
that would have popped
booze,
me.
the booze in that building.
Yeah, it would have been epic.
Immense.
But yeah, I'm stoked for Braun. Gutted that he debuted as Braun Breaker and not Braun Steiner.
Yeah.
But hopefully they can capitalize on this, right? Because Braun looked like a monster out there.
Do you feel like it was a comparable entry to Jordan Grace? Because that was the vibe I got.
No, I don't think it was comparable at all. I think it was great. It was an amazing debut. I think it was up there if we're only talking about NXT debuts.
Yeah.
But I still think Jordan Grace had the best debut so far in a Rumble.
I wanted you to say yes. Say yes for me, just for the sake of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. So the reason I was asking is because Jordan Grace was in there for 19 minutes. Bron Breakker was in there for 5, and it felt like 19.
It did feel longer. When you were telling me this yesterday, I was like, surely it was longer than that. But no, it checks out. He was in there for only about 5 or so minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes and
that
13
that means he made an impact, right?
Like a big enough impact that we're talking about him right now, aside from the fact we probably would anyway if he was in the match. But really, like, huge. Really, really cool. Awesome to see. And then in the promos leading afterwards, he said, Raw, WWE main roster is my home. So we might be getting a lot more Braun from here. Actually, it will be SmackDown, because on Raw this week, during the promo between Pierce and Nick Aldis's phone rang, and he's like, got to take this. It's Bron Breakker. So I think we're going to see Bron on SmackDown.
It makes sense.
He doesn't need to be in NXT anymore. It's been well overdue.
But look, the thing is, I think the reason why we're talking about him so much is because both him and Omos were involved in probably the greatest WrestleMania spot of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Pat McAfee's spot at number, whatever it was, 28 or something.
Don't even. This is a stupid joke. Don't do this joke. This is a stupid spot. I hated this with everything.
I knew it was going to piss you off. I actually agree with you.
I could feel it building.
Spot. That could have been anybody else's spot.
This is the bullshit. The same thing we both did with R-Truth before. You were trying to do it to me again, and you're trying to get me invested.
But this one's not funny.
This is to piss me off. Look, fine. I get the King spot. I understand it. But, man, if you had a scene... Apparently, I heard the other day that Bron Breakker runs at 23 miles an hour when he runs off the ropes.
You are kidding me.
No. I would have loved to have seen him spear Pat McAfee and then just chuck him out.
Yeah, that would have actually made the spot work.
Yeah, because it didn't. I understand him getting in and being all like, oh, actually, no, I'm not a pussy. Let's get back in. But when he got back in, Omos should have just grabbed him by the head and just chucked him out or something. He didn't have to get out again. I thought that was stupid twice. But, now he's back. He's full-time on Raw. That's huge news.
And I'm happy to have him back. He brings the best out of Michael Cole.
I'm happy as long as Wade Barrett goes to freaking SmackDown. If we've just lost him...
No, so it was announced today that Wade Barrett and Michael Cole and Corey Graves, are now on SmackDown.
That's a good announced team. It is a good announced team. Yeah,
it's just which of those two are going to work color and which are going to work play by play, because I don't want
Graves will be play by play.
Yeah, he has to be, right?
Yeah, Graves will have to be, because Barrett can't. He can't. He's too funny not to just say funny shit about people. Yeah. Interesting. Obviously, that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. But, yeah, okay, so this is the problem with it. There's one spot that of all of the spots we've talked about so far that just made my night. And that is R-Truth entering the Rumble at 26, running to the ring.
24,
sorry. Getting to the ring, getting up on the apron and holding the tag rope and asking Dominic Mysterio to tag him in. And then Dominic Mysterio is like, bruh, what are you doing? And then Gunther gets him in the sleeper hold and he makes the hot tag. He actually sells down, fights out, jumps, gets the hot tag on R-Truth. R-Truth hits his childhood hero's spots, gets the Cena shit over. It is genuinely the loudest "you can't see me" I have heard in about 10 years. Everything R-Truth did in this was golden.
Oh, 100%. Like, he had the crowd, like, clapping for the tag.
For the
like,
hot tag in a Royal
for the
Rumble.
Yeah. And the crowd was so into it. Like,
Yeah.
R-Truth right now currently is in a renaissance period, and I'm so happy for him, and I hope we have him in Perth.
He is honestly an absolute star. And
Yeah.
the problem with him being an absolute star is he's a comedy star, which means that he will never go beyond where he is now. There was a time when deep in the Little Jimmy era where I thought maybe he would get pushed as like a schizophrenic heavyweight champion. You know, there was a time where I thought it was possible. Now it's not. And it's a shame because he's currently now the top merch seller. Like, he's
he's
incredibly
outselling Punk.
over. Yeah, incredibly over.
Punk's a t-shirt selling machine, and he's outselling Punk.
Let's talk about CM Punk. So CM Punk comes out.
Yep.
And he looks awesome. Doesn't look exhausted. Has a good little bit to begin with. Drew gives him the Future Shock DDT. From there onwards, he looks 50 times older than he is now. Yeah, because when he hits the Future Shock DDT, for those who don't know, he essentially exploded his tricep.
Yep. Look, full credit to the guy for finishing the match, because I went back and watched some of it this afternoon. And he's still very physical. And
he's throwing rights the whole time. Like, he's still throwing the forearm. He gets up. He's doing, when him and Cody are having their 8-minute match at the end of the Rumble, he's in a push-up position, and he full pushes back to his feet from his hands. Do you have any idea how hard that is when you're missing 3 muscles? Because he's like, literally, that tricep is off there. It's torn.
I have pulled a muscle in my arm before. And bitched about it for a week until it stopped hurting.
There's a reason he looked like an underwater corpse, is because it hurts. Like, when you are in that much pain, your eyes start to weep, you get sunken eyes, you go red. All you can think about, as someone who's been in a match where I broke 3 bones in a 22-minute match within the first 18 minutes, by the end of the match, you do not look good. No. Like, you spend the whole match just trying to get through the next thing. Just trying to get through the next thing. And I know this is next. I have to do this.
People have been pointing out that he was red in the face and sweating and stuff like that. I broke a bone in my foot years ago.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting there trying to walk to somewhere at work to get it dealt with. And by the time I got there, I was red in the face and sweating from pain.
Yep. And look, there is videos of me. You'll find them at the Warship on Instagram. There are videos of me in hospital after I broke my face, broke my hand, broke my nose, and I look like a different person. There's a picture of me taken with a Polaroid camera the next day, and I look like the goddamn Avatar because I've got all of the like plastering on my face here. All of this is like one shape, but my eyes, my cheeks, it's all puffed up. I look stoned. I don't look happy to be there. And I've got like bruising, and you know, wrestling is a thing that I have said for years is just physically bullshit. Like, I can have the best match ever. I don't get hurt. I feel great the whole time. I get backstage. I'm feeling good. I get my stuff. I change out of my clothes. I get home. I have a shower. And then I look at my arm after the shower and I'm like, where is that? Where did that come from? And my entire elbow up to my bicep is purple. I have no idea what it is. I don't know where it came from. It doesn't hurt, but it's just there. You get hurt all the time. For these guys to be working the schedule they're working and not getting hurt every goddamn week is a miracle in itself. To see Punk come through right now, it's really just super unfortunate because he's come through all the bullshit that he went through in AEW. He's come back here. He's had a lot of time to think about what he wants to do, where he wants to move on from here, and it just sucks.
And look, we've talked about, and this is before Raw, we were talking, hey, it looks like he's moving towards a heel turn. He made that big call before the end of the match. Didn't wait 10 years to lose to Dusty's son.
Kid, yeah.
Yeah, and there was all of this. It looked like they were going to go with the massive heel turn, but it looks like they might have pivoted because of the injury.
I'd like to see him still do it. You know who's not
Same.
doing anything right now, even though he's got a little bit of a fat head right now? Doc Gallows ain't doing nothing right now. He's just reformed the Straight Edge Society with the boys there, you know, the Good Brothers. Can you imagine?
Right.
They're both bald.
Yeah.
I could
Oh,
look.
you know you've got me on that because I've
do.
told you
I
so
do.
many times that was my favorite era of punk. I'm not sure you can revisit it though.
I
Like,
think
I
you
feel
could
like
do something special with it, especially considering AJ being a dickhead about it all. You know what? Shave AJ's head too. Bring him in. Have him work as the feeder until Punk's better.
yeah.
There's a lot you could do from here, and I think that in 4 to 6 months, and I really hope it's 4 because I really think he could do it. 4 to 6 months when he's back, man, he's got to come back and just be a monster of a heel. Like you've got
Oh.
Drew at the moment. Drew will move on from this quickly onto the next brutal thing he's doing, and he will use it as fire. But just because Punk's being used as fire doesn't mean he's going to give a shit when it's time to come back. I think he'll probably target Drew just as Drew becomes a face.
Yeah. And look, I want asshole heel.
Yeah.
Like complete asshole heel Punk because that's my favorite Punk. And I think it's when he does his best work.
Yeah, I do too. It's just unfortunate that it totally fucks Perth.
It does. It does. Look, quickly, if you don't know already, because we haven't discussed it at all, Cody wins. It was amazing. Cody's challenging Roman.
Is he? Is he?
He is.
After this week's Raw, is he?
He is.
The things that Roland said made too much sense.
Oh, the things that he said did make sense. But
It's like, do you want the Hulk Hogan championship? Do you want the Hollywood sellout bullshit championship? Or do you want the blue collar workhorse Bret Hart championship?
Oh, dude, it made sense.
But he's still picking Roman.
I think he's still picking Roman. I think he has to pick Roman. I'm going to be pissed if we get Rock versus Roman at this point.
Yeah. But
as a fact,
what else do they have now? They don't have Punk. This is scramble time for WWE.
Yeah.
They either scramble to Drew versus Seth or they scramble to Rock versus Roman.
Look, if anything, Punk being injured puts them back on track as to what the plans were.
Because it's one less body in there.
Yeah, we're back on track.
Yeah.
We can go back to what the plans were 2 months ago now. And I think that's finishing the story, bro.
Big congratulations to Cody, obviously, for that.
Absolutely.
He handled the press conference much better than our friend Paul did, which we're not going to talk about. Are we?
Continue. Oh, no. I'm just deciding whether me as a podcaster should be calling out a wrestling journalist for shitty question asking.
Look, no, honestly, I think that that's good that they asked. I think that they should have asked.
Okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Do it.
Keeping all this in.
Zoom in on him.
I think that the questions that were asked after the talent had left were the right questions, asked to the right person, answered terribly. We won't go into that. But what I will say is I think Nick Hausman should not have put Cody in that position. Cody answered it very well.
Yep.
But I think it's a bullshit position to put the talent in, asking them about a very, very, very serious legal situation that they have nothing to do with.
They're talent on the show.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're not. He's not an EVP no more, bro. Like he's not. He's not got any of that. It's cool to get his perspective from someone who was. But do you understand? Like, and again, I'm not agreeing with anything Phid says. This is actually Phid talking. Cheer, bro, fish and chips, etc. I think that putting Cody's job in jeopardy sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if he had come out with the wrong shit, TKO's got to really ask a question about that.
100%. So, look, and I do normally respect Nick Hausman as a wrestling journalist. I think he does amazing work.
Absolutely.
But this one here was a bad call.
I just don't think they needed to ask the talent because everyone gave the same answer. We all saw what you saw. Leave it at that. Ask one if you have to. But
all right,
let's move on. So Moving on, Cody won. Awesome. Great. See him go to WrestleMania and wrestle whoever he's wrestling. Fulfill the story or don't. We don't know. We don't have the answers to that. Definitely one day going to be a Hall of Fame family, I think.
Absolutely.
But that brings us to the Hall of Fame. Excuse me, Phid. Where's the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, who knows? We're in WrestleMania season and we still have zero clues as
We're
to who's
past
going to the
Rumble.
Hall of
Where's the
Fame.
fucking Hall of Fame announcement?
We should have had at least one by now, right?
Where's Batista?
Normally they'd start making announcements pre-Rumble.
Yes.
Am I right?
Oh, it's close enough to pre-Rumble. Like, it's in that same vein, maybe the week after. So we might still be within the next day or so, but I don't feel like it's any later than like the second week after Rumble.
Yeah. And this is one of the other things I look forward to. I do look forward to the Hall of Fame every year. I look forward to calling up the bookies and putting a bet on how many hours long I think it's going to run for. Who's going to have the longest speech?
Yeah. Just depends on who's getting it, man. If they bring out Kurt Angle again, it could go forever just based on the...
Yeah, is anybody going to break Ric Flair's record?
No. Look, okay, so Batista, surely.
Batista has to be. He was announced for 2020 for obvious reasons. It hasn't happened. Batista Hall of Fame 2024.
Cody, surely. Not Cody, Dustin, surely. If Dustin is not got his AEW commitment, Dustin, surely. It makes the only amount of sense.
Yeah, and look, it's WWE. It'll be a Gold Dust. He'll be inducted as Gold Dust. But look, I'd love to see it.
I have a question.
Okay.
China.
Well deserved. She's already in there.
That's not in there. That's fucking bullshit. No.
She's in there with DX, which I'm glad they didn't ignore her from DX when they inducted DX. But I'm glad you brought this up because I've been talking about this a lot this week, is we do not get the powerhouse woman like Rhea Ripley, like Jordan Grace,
like Jade Cargill.
Exactly, without
Bianca Belair.
Exactly. We do not get them without China. China kicked down that door and made being a strong female wrestler a thing. She was an idol to the current talent.
But to be fair, we're probably just going to get fucking Shane McMahon.
God, we better not. This is not the year to put a McMahon in the Hall of Fame. But I think, yeah, no, I'm not even going to go down there.
Induct Vince. He's essentially dead now.
But look, the other one is, in all seriousness, Bray Wyatt has to be headliner this year.
Like, posthumous, absolutely headliner. Will Batista take it if he's not headliner?
I think he will, because I don't think you can have Bray as the only headliner if you're going to do that. It has to be a double headliner situation.
Yeah, but that stage has one middle podium.
I think Batista would step aside into one of those side stars.
He doesn't really care about WWE that much. He's said that on record, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm 50-50 right now. What do you guys think?
Honestly, I would love to see, and you have to do it at night, not during bloody daylight.
Mm-hmm.
At night, bringing out all the stars. They're standing on their little star spots. Then the lights go down. And you've got the
Fireflies.
The Fireflies come out, but that middle star just has a lantern sitting on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Has the door, and then the door opens, and there's a lantern there.
Yep.
Yeah. Look. I'm in. I'm already crying on the inside, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the questions that have to be asked still. Could you? That's all. Think about that. From those four alone that we've mentioned: Bray Wyatt, Batista, Dustin Runnels, and China. That's a Hall of Fame lineup.
Oh, 100%.
You could chuck in someone for Ultimate Warrior thing.
Are they still doing the Warrior thing?
Man, I don't know.
I don't even know if they're still doing the Warrior thing. And then you've got Celebrity Wing.
Yeah.
And I don't think Snoop's inducted yet.
No. We could get Steve Amell.
Yeah, well, Cody's back, so he's
got his friend in there.
Yeah, he's cool with the WWE again.
Yeah.
Now, look, if Snoop's not inducted, I'm pretty sure Snoop's not inducted. I'm going to quickly Google search this.
And I'm just going to sit here and look at you guys. But let us know, actually. I don't know if he's going to cut this out or not, but let us know what you think. What you think, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame this year?
And look, Snoop was inducted already, so I'm
okay. I kind of thought he was. I didn't want to make you feel stupid, but I feel like he was talking about the bling already and how he had it. And yeah, that being said, there are so many people involved with WWE from a celebrity side of things that could easily get in. And that's it. For me, that's a class already, even without that. So chuck a celebrity in, whoever it might be.
Before we go any further, this show is brought to you by OG Nerd. OG Nerd represents the gamers, the cosplayers, the collectors, the model makers, the tattooists, the artists, and the athletes. They are not just a clothing brand, they are a subculture. OG Nerd revel in their halcyon youth and embrace the lifestyle driven by nostalgia, humble beginnings, and heroes.
OG Nerd strives to offer quality, comfortable, and above all stylish streetwear apparel inspired by a lifetime of gaming, music, and street art. I've worked with OG Nerd for many years and find their apparel second to none in terms of quality and appearance. Whether it's at a wrestling show or a convention, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better armor for your rig. Get yours at ognerdlife.com.
Man, we're moving on now to WrestleMania. And we've got so many things coming up. We're going to be doing predictions, I assume, in the next couple of weeks, just to get firmed up what you guys think is going to happen. Let us know what you thought of the Rumble in all the social medias. And let's quickly do one of these ones and go to Aussie Wrestling.
Absolutely. Now, let's kick things off. All-Star Pro Wrestling. They've got the Brian Kendrick facing Orlando Jordan in Survival of the Fittest, February 17th. Padstow RSL. Also MXW, they're having Mildy Combat at the Sets Mildura, March the 2nd.
It makes it sound like Moldy Combat. I love Mortal Kombat. It makes me upset.
Adrenaline Pro Wrestling, they've got Breakout 39, February the 16th, and that's at Runnel Road in Seaford.
And we've got MCW Anniversary Weekend. MCW, massive in Melbourne. Awesome. Go see them. February 10 and 11 at the Thornbury Theatre. You will not regret it. We've also got WSW Most Wanted. It's a tour, the 28th of June to the 1st of July, featuring mega stars like Brian Cage, Nick Nemeth, Elias, also maybe Ezekiel, maybe, who knows, and the person who I think should have been in the Royal Rumble this year, Matt Cardona. We've also got Dude, Where's My Ring, February 23rd and 24th for their Creed-themed shows, I'm pretty sure. One's called With Arms Wide Open and the other one's called My Sacrifice. On top of that, we've got the EPW Aussie Wrestling Super Show. There's been a bunch of huge names from Australian wrestling already announced.
They've started announcing some bangers.
Big bangers. That's also on February 23rd at Willerton Stadium. And then, as I've been saying for weeks, we've got the big dog, WWE Elimination Chamber in Optus Stadium, Perth, February 21st, 2024.
Oh, we're days away.
Days away. It's going to be a banger. Get yourself there. I don't think you're coming anymore now with no Punk, right?
Oh, dude, I'm going to be honest with everybody that has. So we've got no Gunther because of
the visa
issues. We've got no CM Punk. We've got no Roman Reigns. It's still going to be an amazing show, but there's a lot of names missing.
There is. It's not going to be a gutted show they used to do back in the old days. It's still going to be a PLE, and they're going to pull it together. But yeah, it's definitely a different time.
And look, I'm still working behind the scenes to get myself over there. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, in the next 7 days, I will know exactly what's happening, and I'll be sleeping on your couch come the 20th-ish.
Speaking of a time, it's time. It's Vader time, but not really. We're going to go time now. I hope you had a great time here tonight listening to this. Please let us know what your thoughts about the Royal Rumble were. Please let us know who should be in the Hall of Fame. Please let us know who is Cody going to choose for WrestleMania.
And please support WWEshop.com by using our link.
Hey, yes, WWEshop.com using the limp biscuit in the description below. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching. Your very, very handsome. I just wanted to say that. And as always, we'll see you down under the ring.